Have you ever imagined yourself facing a huge storm in the middle of the ocean? Everything around seems to collapse, and you don't know what to do. Human strength becomes useless in the face of nature's fury. Fear fills the hearts of everyone. They think this is the end. But then, a figure appears on the water. Their eyes widened in disbelief. Could it really be? What happens when you see someone walking on the water? Fear turned into amazement. Is a miracle happening? Hay cried out in fear, "Who is coming toward us?" And then he stretched out his hand, calm amidst the storm. He came closer, bringing peace and the message. The coming of Jesus. Imagine being out at sea. In the midst of a terrifying storm, all hope seems lost. Everything around seems to collapse, and you don't know what to do. Human strength becomes useless in the face of nature's fury. The sky is pitch black, illuminated only by flashes of lightning in the dark night. Fear fills the hearts of everyone. They think this is the end. And then a figure appears on the water. Their eyes widened in disbelief. Could it really be? What happens when you see someone walking on the water? Fear turned into amazement. Is a miracle happening? They cried out in fear, "Who is coming toward us?" And then he stretched out his hand, calm amidst the storm. He came closer, bringing peace and a message. With courage, one disciple begins to step out of the boat, trusting in Jesus. As the disciple steps onto the water, he grasps Jesus' hand, filled with faith. Together, they walk on the water, surrounded by the calm sea and peaceful skies. The disciples in the boat watch in awe, filled with faith and amazement. The calm sea reflects the miracle of faith and trust in Jesus. As they reach the boat, the disciples embrace the peace brought by Jesus. Jesus invites the disciples closer, walking on faith. With courage, a disciple stepped out of the boat and walked on water, holding tightly to Jesus' hand. Peter's faith. He stepped out of the boat, cautiously but determined. Ahead, Jesus was calling him to move forward. Peter had truly stepped onto the water, something unimaginable before. With strong faith, Peter walked on the water, unfazed by the storm around him. But when the wind and waves came, Peter took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the storm. Peter, overwhelmed by fear, began to sink and called out to Jesus for help. Jesus immediately reached out and caught Peter, saying, "Why did you doubt?" Jesus lifted Peter from the water, offering comfort and reassurance. Peter stood calmly on the water, hand in hand with Jesus, feeling reassured and at peace. Jesus and Peter returned to the boat together, as the storm calmed and the waves grew still. The disciples were amazed and filled with gratitude as Jesus and Peter returned to the calm sea. Peter sat back in the boat, filled with gratitude and relief, looking at Jesus. With the storm gone, the boat floated peacefully on the calm sea, and the disciples felt a deep sense of peace. Peter learned a valuable lesson about faith, one he will never forget. With firm faith in the Lord, they prepared to continue their journey with peace and gratitude. Jesus sat with them in the boat, smiling and granting them peace. Now Peter understood that when he focused on the Lord, he could overcome any challenge. They continued their journey, with faith and peace from the Lord, even as storms may return. The miracle of Jesus reminds us that faith in Him is the key to overcoming all difficulties. Have you ever been in a similar situation? When your faith was tested amidst hardships, leave a comment sharing your story. Lesson on faith. Jesus saves Peter. Peter looked at the storm around him, and his doubt caused him to begin sinking. As soon as Peter called out, "Lord, save me," Jesus reached out his hand and pulled him up. Jesus and Peter walked together on the water as the storm began to calm. Peter walked slowly, looking at Jesus with gratitude, as the storm calmed completely. The disciples were amazed as Jesus and Peter arrived at the boat on calm waters. As Jesus and Peter stepped into the boat, the disciples knelt down in awe and gratitude. Peter looked at Jesus with deep gratitude, having learned a valuable lesson about faith. With faith and peace, the disciples prepared to continue their journey on the calm sea. Jesus sat with them in the boat, smiling and granting them peace as they continued their journey. Peter now understood that with his focus on Jesus, he could overcome any challenge. They continued their journey with faith and peace from the Lord as the sea remained calm. The boat slowly disappeared on the horizon, reminding us of the peace that comes with faith in Jesus. Jesus is always there, even when we are weak and lacking in faith. He is ready to save us if we call upon him in our troubles. The storm has passed, and the sea is now calm. This story reminds us that faith in Jesus can calm the greatest storms in our lives. As the disciples sat in the boat, their hearts filled with peace, knowing that Jesus was always there, ready to help in their time of need. Jesus stood before them, his eyes filled with compassion and love. When the storms of life surround you, remember, I'm always near, ready to save. The disciples knelt in worship, overwhelmed by the miracle before them. He is the light in the darkness, the peace in the storm, they whispered in awe. One disciple knelt in prayer, hands lifted high, eyes full of hope. Put your faith in Jesus, he prayed, for he hears us and rescues us. Jesus placed his hand on the disciple's head, blessing him with peace and strength. I will never leave you, even in the darkest moments, he whispered. As the boat sailed smoothly through the calm waters, the disciples reflected quietly. At the front, Jesus stood, guiding them forward with peace and assurance. Jesus smiled at them with warmth and compassion. If you are facing a storm in your life, trust in me, and I will bring you peace. The disciples shared their thoughts, amazed by the miracle they had witnessed. Their hearts were filled with faith and gratitude for what Jesus had done. Share your story of faith with us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories from the Bible. Together, we grow in faith.